book by Gary Chapman, The Five Love Languages, and, hopefully kind of learning some stuff that can help all of us build stronger and more fulfilling relationships.
Absolutely.
And we'll even, touch on some of the stories that Chapman shares about how couples have used these ideas to make a positive change.
Yeah, it's amazing how this book really kind of breaks down something that's as complex as love into 5 simple categories.
Right.
And, his main idea is that each of us has this like primary love language, which is the specific way that we feel most loved and appreciated.
So it's like a secret code almost to understanding what makes your partner tick,
100%.
relationship-wise.
And the interesting thing is, so often,
Right.
those love languages are totally different for each person. In a couple, so you might be expressing love in a way that feels totally natural to you, but your partner might not be receiving it that way at all.
Oh, I can see how this is going to lead to some
Big time.
misunderstandings and arguments and
For sure.
all that.
Yeah.
So let's get into these love languages.
Okay, let's do it.
What's the first one?
So the first one is words of affirmation.
Okay.
This is all about, expressing love and appreciation through words. Think compliments, words of encouragement, gratitude, even writing, like a heartfelt letter.
So for someone whose love language is words of affirmation, hearing "I love you" or "You look amazing today" would really mean a lot to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just about, the grand declarations either. Even just like small everyday compliments can go such a long way in making them feel seen and appreciated.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What about the second love language?
Okay, so the second one is quality time. This one's about giving your partner your undivided attention. It's not just about being in the same room together.
Right.
It's about being fully present, engaging in meaningful conversation or doing activities together.
So putting away the phone, turning off the TV, and really focusing on your partner.
100%. Even something as simple as like taking a walk together.
Right.
And having a good conversation can be so powerful if quality time is their love language.
I can see how that would really make someone feel valued and prioritized.
Totally.
All right, so what's next?
Okay, so number 3 is receiving gifts.
Okay.
Now, it's important to emphasize here, this is not about materialism or expecting like expensive presents.
Right.
It's about the thoughtfulness behind the gift. That visual reminder that you were thinking of them.
So like a small, inexpensive gift that shows you put thought into it would be more meaningful than just a generic expensive item.
Precisely. It's about the gesture itself.
Okay.
The act of giving something that represents your love and affection.
Gotcha. So we've covered words of affirmation, quality time receiving gifts. What's number 4?
All right. So number 4 is acts of service.
Okay.
This is about doing things for your partner that they would appreciate. Things that lighten their load or make their life a little bit easier.
So things like helping with chores or running errands or taking on a task that they've been dreading.
Exactly. For someone whose love language is acts of service, actions speak much louder than words. It's a way of saying, I love you, by actually taking care of them in a practical way.
It's like showing your love through those everyday actions.
You got it. And it doesn't have to be some huge chore either.
Right.
Something as simple as making them coffee in the morning or doing the dishes without being asked can really make a difference.
Awesome. That brings us to the 5th and final love language.
Gosh, we made it.
What is it?
This one is physical touch.
Okay.
And this one's all about expressing love and affection through physical contact. Like hugs, kisses, holding hands, cuddling, all that good stuff.
So for someone whose love language is physical touch, those expressions of physical closeness are really important for them to feel loved.
Absolutely. It's a very direct and powerful way of communicating love and affection.
Okay, so we've got these 5 distinct love languages now. The big question is, how do we figure out our own love language?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
One of the best ways is to think about, what makes you feel most loved and appreciated by your partner?
Okay.
Like, what are the things that they do that make you feel truly seen and cared for?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So if you're constantly like asking for more quality time with your partner, or if you just light up when they give you even just like a little thoughtful gift, that's probably a pretty good sign that that's
huge sign.
Your love language.
Yeah. Pay attention to those patterns in your own behavior.
Yeah.
It can be really insightful.
Yeah.
Chapman also suggests kind of thinking about the flip side of that, like what hurts the most when your partner doesn't do it?
Okay.
What are the things they do or don't do that make you feel unloved or unimportant?
So identifying those like pain points in the relationship can actually tell you a lot about
Ooh, big time.
your love language.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It's like you're figuring out what you're most sensitive to
Right.
when it's lacking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once you've got a better grasp of your own love language, then you can start thinking about your partners.
100%.
Like what are the things they seem to appreciate the most? What do they often request or, even complain about?
Totally.
It sounds like a lot of this is just about like observation, paying attention to the little things.
Yes.
How you interact with each other.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, just becoming more mindful of the ways we give and receive love.
Right.
And remember, even if your partner's love language is different from yours, that doesn't mean you can't learn to speak it.
Right.
In fact, Chapman actually argues that making that effort can dramatically improve your relationship.
You mentioned earlier that Chapman shares a lot of stories in the book about couples who have used this concept to strengthen their relationships. I'm curious to hear some of those real-life examples.
Okay, so one that really stands out is the story of Janice and Jim.
Okay.
Janice felt deeply unloved in her marriage, even though Jim was, by his own estimation, a good husband. He worked hard to provide for the family, helped around the house, when he considered himself totally devoted to Janice.
So it sounds like Jim was doing a lot of the quote-unquote right things, but something was still missing for Janice.
Yeah, what Jim didn't realize was that his way of expressing love just wasn't resonating with Janice at all.
Okay.
Her primary love language was receiving gifts.
Okay.
And Jim rarely ever gave her gifts because he thought they were unnecessary.
So even though he was expressing love in his own way, it wasn't translating into something that she could really recognize or appreciate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, after attending one of Chapman's seminars, Jim had this real aha moment. He realized that Janice wasn't being materialistic. She just needed to feel loved and appreciated in a way that was meaningful to her.
So how did Jim change his approach? Did he suddenly start showering Janice with like tons of expensive gifts?
Not at all.
Okay.
It started with these small, simple gestures.
Okay.
He brought her a single rose one day from a vendor that he passed on his way home from work. And then he surprised her with her favorite pizza for dinner another night.
That's sweet.
He even started bringing home small, thoughtful gifts for their children.
It sounds like he was really making an effort to speak her love language, even if it felt a little unfamiliar or weird to him at first.
Exactly. And the impact was honestly remarkable.
Yeah.
Janice described it as a miracle.
Wow.
These small acts of love, these visual reminders that he was thinking of her, they made her feel truly loved and cherished for the first time in a long time.
What a great example of how even those small changes can make a big difference when you're speaking your partner's love language.
Huge difference.
The book also mentions the importance of having a full love tank for navigating conflicts.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit more about what that means?
Okay, so one of the key ideas in the book is that when our love tank is full, when we feel loved and appreciated, we're much better equipped to handle disagreements and challenges, in a healthy way. It's like having a reserve of goodwill that helps us navigate those rough patches without getting overly defensive or taking things too personally.
So it's like having a buffer almost that allows you to approach those conflicts with more patience and understanding.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, when we're feeling secure and loved, we're less likely to react in that knee-jerk way.
Right.
We're more open to hearing our partner's perspective and working together to find a solution.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like you have more emotional resilience when your need for love is being met.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, this applies not just to romantic relationships, but to all kinds of relationships, family, friends, even colleagues.
So we're talking about creating a more positive and supportive environment in all areas of your life.
100%.
That's pretty powerful stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up,
I
want to emphasize something really important.
Okay.
Learning to speak your partner's love language doesn't mean abandoning your own.
Right.
It's not about becoming someone you're not. It's about making a conscious effort to express love in a way that resonates with them.
That's a really good point, yeah. It's about expanding your repertoire of ways to show love, not about sacrificing your own needs or preferences.
Exactly. And sometimes speaking our partner's love language might feel a bit unnatural or even challenging at first.
Right.
But as we practice it and make it a priority, it becomes more intuitive and honestly really rewarding.
It's like learning any new skill it takes.
Totally.
Effort and consistency. But the payoff is worth it.
It is. And the beauty of it is that as we become more fluent in our partner's love language, it strengthens the bond and deepens the connection, creating a more loving and fulfilling relationship for both of you.
Yeah, I love that analogy of becoming fluent in your partner's love language.
Yeah.
It really highlights how this is like an ongoing process.
Yes.
A journey of discovery and growth.
100%.
In your relationship.
It really is, and it's a journey worth taking. You know, the more we understand about how to love and appreciate each other in ways that truly resonate, the stronger and more fulfilling our relationships will be.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive into the world of love languages. It's certainly given me a lot to think about in terms of my own relationships.
Me too. It's fascinating how such a simple concept can have such a profound impact on how we connect with the people we care about.
So as we wrap up today,
yeah.
What are some key takeaways for our listeners? What we want them to walk away with?
Okay, well, first and foremost, I'd say just remember that everyone has a unique love language.
Right.
What makes you feel loved might not be the same for your partner.
Right,
so the key is to figure out what those languages are and make a conscious effort to speak them.
And it's not about being perfect or getting it right all the time.
Oh, for sure not.
It's about the intentionality.
Yes.
It's about making that effort to understand and meet each other's needs.
Exactly. And remember, even small gestures can go a long way.
Yeah.
When they're aligned with your partner's love language.
It's about those little everyday acts of love that show you're paying attention.
Yes.
And that you care.
That you care. Now, before we sign off, I'd love to leave our listeners with a little thought-provoking question to ponder.
I love a good challenge.
Yeah.
What is it?
Okay, so think about this. How could understanding love languages impact your relationships beyond just your romantic partner? Could this concept be applied to your interactions with family, friends, even colleagues?
That's a great question. It really challenges us to think about how we can use this knowledge to create stronger, more fulfilling connections in all areas of our lives.
It is. It's about taking these principles and applying them to any relationship where we want to foster deeper understanding and connection.
Well, I think that's a fantastic note to end on.
I agree.
It's been a pleasure exploring the world of love languages with you today.
The pleasure was all mine. Always a great time diving deep into these fascinating topics.
And to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you gained some valuable insights that you can apply to your own relationships.
Remember, learning and speaking each other's love language is a lifelong journey. It takes effort and a willingness to grow, but the rewards are well worth it.
So go out there and start speaking the language of love. Until next time, keep diving deep.